we got a great opening question right out of the gate, which is a great intro question, which is, what is Club Wealth?
Oh, there you go. Well, there you go.
Let's answer that.
Well, Club Wealth is the number one coaching and consulting company in the team and brokerage space. Typical, some of the big names that you'd recognize, some great coaches out there, never taking away anything from some of the other coaches out there. And I've coached with a lot of them and learned from every coach I've ever had. But really kind of our core client, while we work with people all the way from brand new agents to the top agents of the country, kind of our typical clients doing a couple hundred transactions a year. We got a lot of clients doing 400, 500, 600 transactions a year, and even some doing 3,000 transactions a year. So my claim to fame is at one point in time, I built and ran the number one team in the country. So I started selling real estate in 1991. And so I'm on my 30th year now. My team was doing 120 to 180 transactions a month with just 16 agents on the team. And we had about 750 active and pending listings at any given point in time. We're not selling anything today, so there's not going to be a sales pitch. So let's just start there. I will give you an opportunity to get 17 of my best lead sources. We got about 109 we recommend to our clients. I'll give you a chance to get 17 of those for free at the end, but nothing to sell today. So let's jump right in. Let's talk about, what does it look like to really to not just double your business, but how do we go from growth to scaling a business? And I think these are two words that people use interchangeably, and they are two vastly different things. And I think that too often in this industry, they're used inappropriately. So we're going to get deep into the nitty gritty of that in just a little bit. But I want to start with kind of the foundation. And the foundation is you got to begin with the end in mind, right? You've got to, and Napoleon Hill said that. We all know who Napoleon Hill is, Think and Grow Rich, all that good stuff. But you really do have to begin with the end in mind. So what does that look like? I've got to, and he also said, you've got to be able to conceive and believe in order to achieve, right? So I've got to conceptualize, what is it I want to do? Where do I really want to go? What do I want to accomplish? I've got to be able to visualize that in my mind. And that's hard even for some people, right? Like if I said to you, some of you might be brand new in the business. Some of you are already doing a couple hundred transactions a year. Then you got Gabe over here, Mr. I did 800 transactions my best year. I mean, come on, like that guy knows what he's doing, right? So you're at all different levels. Whatever the next step is for you, and I would say this, start with a minimum of double and no more than 10x what you're doing right now, right? Somewhere between double and 10 times what you're doing right now. Pick a number that you want to be at that number. Like no matter what, that's where I'm going. And I want you to think about that. I want you to really internalize it and really think about, what does it look like to be at that number? What does that mean for my life to be closing that many transactions per year?
I was going to say, when you're talking about visualizing, you're talking units? Are you talking commissions?
Yes.
Or units?
I want to talk units, right? Because here's the thing, commissions, you don't have any control over how much you make, really. You have very little control over how much you make, other than to impact how many transactions you close, right? Now, can you do higher end versus, yeah, we can get into that discussion, but really that's a waste of time. Go for units, right? If you have to choose between quantity or quality in the beginning, choose quantity. The quality will come, but you've got to get in there and you got to get quantity happening. So I want you to be thinking of the number. What is the number of transactions that's going to be somewhere between double and 10 times what you're doing right now, that you're like, you know what? I'm going to make that happen. I'm going to find a way to do that number. Now, as you think about the number, I want you to, now some of you, if you're brave and you want to share it with the world, type it into your chat right now. I'd love to see what your number is. And I'd love to get an idea of kind of where everybody's head's at. I want to know, who am I talking to right now? Am I talking to people that are like, wow, I'd like to do 4 deals next year? Or am I talking to people that are like, no, I'm going to do 4,000 next year? Make sure the number is
500.
Realistic for you. And when I say realistic, I want it to stretch you. I want it to challenge you, but I don't want to, if you did 5 deals this year, don't tell me you're going to do 5,000 next year, right? So think about what your big number is that you really want to accomplish. Now, and I see some great numbers coming into the chat here.
And the people you're talking to, Michael, too, right? I mean, you might be a team lead throwing a number, and you might be an individual agent, right? I think you're talking about that beginning with the end in mind. You really need to understand your role on the team as well, I'm assuming.
And I love it. I love that we've got some mortgage folks here. And by the way, yes, we do coach mortgage brokers as well, lenders, loan officers, mortgage brokers. That being said, I want you guys to think about, what is my life going to look like if I'm doing that? What would that mean for me? What would my life look like at that number? What does that feel like? Where do I live? What kind of house do I have? What kind of car am I driving? How often am I taking vacations? How many hours a week am I working? What does my family life look like? How is it different than today? I want you to really get into the feeling of what it's like to be there, right? Remember, we got to conceive. We got to first conceive. We got to be able to conceptualize it. And then we can start to believe it, right? We can internalize it. We can really start to say, okay, and this is where I want you to go next. Can you really see yourself accomplishing that? Or are you saying to yourself, yeah, I don't know if I'm going to actually be able to do that. You have to be able to truly believe that you can accomplish it if you're really going to go there, right? Otherwise, you will subconsciously put up roadblocks throughout the process that will keep you from getting there. Now, I'm not saying, oh, if I just manifest it, it'll come, right? Screw that. No, that's not going to happen, all right? You can manifest all you want, but if you don't put some freaking effort behind it, you're not getting anywhere, right? So you've got to not only manifest, you got to not only be able to conceive and believe, but you've got to actually put action behind it. Now we're going to talk about those specific actions right now. Gabe, any thoughts on that before I go forward?
No, I love it. I mean, it's almost like you just get in your car, start driving, hit the gas pedal with no destination, right? You're really going nowhere. Even though you're moving, you feel like you're driving, you feel like you're on your way, but to where? So I love that. Like you really do, start with the end in mind. Where am I going? Now I'm gonna be able to figure out how the heck I'm gonna get there, right? What's that best routing?
Absolutely. One of the things I like to say is goals suck, habits rule, right? Like think about that. I mean, goals are great. Don't get me wrong. It's great to have goals, but if you have goals and no habits behind them, you're not getting those. Those goals are not going to happen. They just are not going to happen.
I love that. I know one of my slides, and I was afraid you were going to get mad at me once because one of my slides said, screw your goals, focus on your habits. Right. So, so I'm like, I don't know if Hellickson will like this slide, but I agree 100% because focusing on those habits will make the goals happen, those results happen.
That's right. Absolutely. 100%. Howard, go ahead. You were going to chime in.
Unfortunately, my goals are better than my habits. I gotta go to club.
But Howard, here's one of the things though, and in your defense, I will say this. Whether you've got great habits or not, you have surrounded yourself. You've managed to you've got enough money that you've hired the right people that have the right habits to implement what your vision has been so that your goals could be accomplished. So for most of the people on the call, they don't have Howard Tager kind of money. They're not able to necessarily go and just hire all that great talent right away. And Gabe. And so I'm just kidding, Gabe. I love you, bro. But seriously, I mean, you gathered like the who's who list in real estate for your team. And you did not necessarily have to have perfect habits because of who you surrounded yourself with. You just needed to have the vision and the will to make sure it got executed by somebody. Does that make sense? So yeah, so
for me, it takes a village. I've had, 3 companies, all have been successful, and I would have failed if it was me, myself, and I, because the number one thing you can do as a business owner, and everyone on here is a business owner in some way, shape, or form, is to spend a long time looking at yourself, write down your assets and write down your liabilities and be very, very honest about it. And then surround yourself, add to your team the people that are really strong in the things you're not strong in, the things you want to do. Lean into what you do well. If you're a horrible manager, don't manage. If you're a great leader, lead. Right? If you're that's the critical thing. So it takes a village. And I think the big transition I see from teams that go from small to medium to large, Michael, and you can comment on it, is when people move from just having a small team of generalists where everyone's running around doing the same thing to the larger teams really run like companies, right? I have a company, we funded our company. We had investors, right? So you have to do that so that you can hire, right? Great programmers, great digital marketers, great salespeople, great finance people. Like you've got to have all of these different specialties covered to really grow a significant organization. And I think not everybody wants to grow an organization of 200 or 300 people. That's fine. But if you want to go from 3 to 30 or 3 to 10 or whatever it is, you're not going to do that with a team of generalists, in my opinion.
100% agree. Gabe and I actually, when we teach team building, we've often had this conversation. So for my team, for example, my agents, they don't list and sell, they list or sell, right? They're either a buyer agent or a listing agent, right? And a lot of people would argue that, oh, but Michael, that makes recruiting so hard and yada, yada, yada. And look, if somebody's got a transaction that's somebody from their sphere of influence and they want to, they're a buyer agent on your team and they want to be able to help that friend of theirs with their listing, that's fine. But you still have to take one of our listing agents with you. And you're going to pay that listing agent referral fee because that listing agent has to make sure that it gets done right. Every team lead that comes in, heck no, that's going to one of our listing agents. Now, if you're the buyer agent and you happen to be working with that lead as a buyer, well, guess what? You still have to refer that to the listing team. You'll get the referral fee at that point. But now we've got our specialist on that appointment, making sure not only that we get the listing, but that the expectations are set properly and the customer experience is the world-class experience it needs to be throughout the process. And so I couldn't agree more. Specialization is absolutely key. Not only to growth, it's very important to growth, but particularly if you're going to scale, you've got to have specialists. Let's
that consistency. Yeah. And you hit on something there. I want to get to Susie, who asked a question because you brought it up. Having specialists and agents on your team. She's asking, what is the best way to find agents that want to be on a team? You're talking about team agents. Would love to give her a tip there.
Tell you what, we're going to actually that's coming up right after the next spot. Let me share culture first. Let's talk about the 5 key growth hack systems, right? So number one, because recruiting is one of them, but that's number 2. So number 1 is culture, right? And why does culture come before recruiting? Because culture starts with you. Now, I want you to think about that for just a second. You can't develop great culture on your team if you have crappy habits. You aren't going to develop a team of eagles if you're a turkey. Right? So think about that. First, I got to become an eagle. I got to get serious about what I'm doing. I've got to establish success on my own. And then and only then can I start bringing other people into that culture and expect the same out of them. I cannot expect things out of people that I don't expect out of myself. The second I do that, I'm incongruent and they will be disillusioned with my team and my process. So how do we develop culture? There's a few key things that you've got to do on a regular basis to really develop culture on your team. Number 1 is a daily huddle. Every single day, no matter what, Monday through Friday. And I have people tell me all the time, oh, but Michael, can't I just do it like 3 times a week? No, you need a daily huddle to be Monday through Friday, 5 days a week. It's important. Your team needs to get together that often. You need to have conversation that often. You need to share with each other. You need to hold each other accountable. You need communication to happen between sales and admin and vice versa. You need to make sure that you are in tune with all the stuff that's going on in the company. And I get it when you start small, you think, well, I've just got 1 person on my team. Well, that's okay. You need to develop the habit from day 1. Right? You don't develop the habit when you have a team. You're able to have a team because you've developed the habit early. So I want to start doing my huddle right away. Also, I want to have it early in the morning. This is how I start my day. This is how I get my team to start their day. So what does that look like? 7:30 in the morning every day. That's when I do mine. Now, you could do it as late as 8:30. I would suggest that any later than 8:30, you're getting a late start, right? And let's remember who gets the worm. It ain't the late bird that gets the worm. It's the early bird that gets the worm. So get to bed early and get your butt up early and get to work.
So your huddles, because I know it's going to come in. You're saying it's in the morning. Is this Zoom? Is this call in? Is it in person? What are you guys doing?
It's totally fine to be on Zoom, particularly as your team grows geographically. You're going to need to have some people on Zoom, but they have to be on video and they have to be dressed and ready for the day every single time, no matter what. If you want leads from our team, if you want to be a part of our team, this is a prerequisite. This is not optional. Oh, but Michael, I got to take my kids to school. Great. Do you have a cell phone? Is it a smartphone or maybe it's an iPhone, but it's a semi-smartphone, right? Sorry, Gabe, couldn't resist. Gabe's an iPhone, I'm an Android. So, but understand, but understand this, you've got a smart enough phone that you can get on Zoom on your phone while you're dropping your freaking kids off at school. So there's no excuse for not being on the huddle. Write this down. Every single person should be taking notes right now. I'll tell you right now, if all you get out of today is this one thing, great tip for you. Write it down. Eagles don't flock with turkeys. Think about that for a second. Eagles don't flock with turkeys. Watch this. Hey, Gabe, would you want to be on a team where nobody really does anything and they just kind of sit around and are not very productive and whine a lot about the market and buyers are liars and sellers are worse and all that kind of stuff?
Man, that's tempting, but no.
You'd be peace out in about 2 seconds, right? That would not last for you. And nor would it last for me. And by the way, what if you had a team of your own, if you were the team leader and a bunch of people on your team had that kind of an attitude? what would you want to do? You'd probably fire every freaking one of them. You'd be like, hey guys, nice knowing you. I got better things to do than spend time with non-producers, with people who are not interested in succeeding at a high level. Listen, you guys, if you want to succeed at a high level, you have got to make sure that everybody on your team wants to succeed at a high level. And even though someone may be super nice and friendly, they could still be a cancer on your team. Cancer doesn't just mean that they're negative all the time, or that they're, bashing the team, or that they're creating problems. They could be doing this subconsciously. They could be doing this unknowingly. At the end of the day, you need eagles on your team. Now, the good news is, once you get to a little bit of scale, once you get to, 10, 15, 20 agents on your team, guess what will happen? If you have enough eagles on that team, they'll chase the turkeys away. You don't even have to. Frankly, they'll eat the turkeys. Have you ever seen an eagle go after a goose or a turkey? Let me tell you, it's vicious. I've seen it. Had it happen in my backyard one day. Holy cow, man. That's what it's like on your team. So you don't even have to fire people over time. As your team really develops strength, they'll just chase the bad ones off. And
well,
I say bad.
we're talking about the right culture, and that starts from the top down. Is it really the culture becomes contagious as well? So if it's the right culture, that's going to breed within that team as well.
Well, and let's take that to another level. Whatever culture you embody and what you allow is what will then spread through your team. And this goes both ways. I'll give you an example. I had a real problem in 2008 when we went from doing 400 or 500 transactions a year to doing 100 to 200 a month. All of a sudden, my team was my transactional volume was growing like crazy, and I couldn't hire people fast enough behind it. Well, at some point in time, when we had those 750 listings in active and pending status, all of a sudden we started getting all these calls from agents about our listings. Hey, Michael, how much is the house? And, is it still available? And how do I make an offer? They would ask all these questions that they could have easily gotten the answer for if they would have just checked the MLS. So we call them stupid agent questions. And here's the problem. I would get frustrated with these agents. I'd take one of these calls and I'd be like, yeah, have you checked the MLS? Well, no. Okay, well, it's in there. Well, what about this? Well, it's in the MLS too. Well, and I'd get frustrated. I'd hang up the phone and I'd say, man, what an idiot. And guess what? That permeated our culture. My bad attitude spread throughout our entire company. And all of a sudden, our entire company looked at the agents in our marketplace like idiots. Now, were they idiots? No. What needed to happen is we needed to step up our customer service. We needed to treat them better. We needed to do a better job of caring for the agents in the marketplace. So we literally had to hire 1.5 full-time positions that did nothing but answer these questions from agents. That was a lot of money that we had to spend for this. Was it worth it? Absolutely. Because I'll tell you what, and it took us almost 2 years to recover, and we never fully recovered from it, but it took us almost 2 years to really get ahead of this and to turn the tide now of the culture that we had permeated in this, and the message we had sent to agents in our marketplace, which is, we think you're less than us. Instead, what we need to do is we need to say, look, we're here to serve you. And that change took some time, and it started with me, right? So you guys got to think about culture starts with you. All right. Okay. Now, the next thing you got to, so you're going to do your daily huddles, and you've got to do your call nights. Call nights are very important. So once a week, you want to get together with your team. You want to be making phone calls. Now, I want my lenders there. I want my agents there. I want to be there. All the key sales team members are going to be on this call night. And if you want leads from us, you got to do this call night once a week. And usually we do it on a Thursday night. That's when we set our appointments for the weekend. When we do team outings and activities, right? You've got your team meetings, of course, but team outings and activities about once a quarter. I want to get my team together. I want to take them somewhere. Go do something fun. It doesn't have to be expensive. Heck, it could be bowling one quarter. It could be, I've seen companies do a Pinewood Derby in their office, or you could go on a hike or go whitewater rafting if you want to get really crazy, or whatever. It doesn't matter what you do. Find something you can do together with your team that's fun for you and for your team. Don't overcomplicate it. Let them decide. Set a budget. Let them decide what you're going to do. And you just tell them, here's the budget, spend it all. It doesn't matter. Just tell me what we're going to go do. And then go do it. You'd be surprised what they pick. All right. Then next, let's talk for a second about recruiting. Okay. And there's a lot more. Go ahead. What?
So here it goes, Susie. We're to your question.
Yes. So Susie, we're going to answer your question right now. So in real estate, if I'm really looking to grow, if I really want to transition from 100 deals a year to 100 transactions a month, it's very simple. But I'll tell you, the number one thing that you've got to wrap your head around is recruiting trumps listings. Where do you make more money? Recruiting an agent or listing a house? And by the way, if I had to choose between a listing and a buyer, which would I choose? I'd choose the listing all day long, right? And by the way, when I'm taking listings, do I care if they're overpriced? Do I care? And particularly not in this market, but even if it's a different market, even if it's a buyer's market, do I care if they're overpriced? Do I care if they have a bad attitude? Do I care if it's a trash pile? No, I don't. Write this down. A sign in the yard beats a sign in the car every time. You know, when we had all those listings, we were getting 6,352 sign calls per month. You know what my big problem was, though? I only had 16 agents. I had enough sign calls to feed 159 agents. Wrap your head around that for just a second. From sign calls alone, I could have fed 159 agents. So what was my problem? What was the bottleneck? It was recruiting. You make far more money on a recruit than you ever will on a single listing. So you need to make recruiting as much. And now the timing for this is very important, right? So there's tiers in real estate. If I'm a tier 1, I'm doing 0 to 25 transactions a year. If I'm a tier 2, I'm doing 25 to 75. Tier 3 is 75 to 150. Tier 4 is 150 to 250. Tier 5 is 250 to 500. Tier 6 is 500 to 1,000. Tier 7 is 1,000 units per year and more. So you have to understand this. What matters is not only that you're doing the right thing, but you're doing it at the right time in your business. If I'm a tier 1, I should not be spending most of my time recruiting. I'm not ready for that yet. I'm still trading time for dollars as a tier 1. I'm still chasing business, not attracting it as a tier 1, right? I start getting into tier 2. I do need to do some recruiting, but I'm not ready to make it my primary focus because it's still costing me a bunch of money to get my team up and running. I'm losing money now because, you know, I've got to go out and buy leads, not only for me, but I'm buying leads for the team now. And then I got to add them to my different accounts, my CRM, my Ylopo, my other stuff, you know, and so there's all this expense. And my production is still feeding it all because it takes 6 to 12 months before each agent becomes profitable for me. So tier 2 is not the time to focus 100% on recruiting yet. Now I start getting into tier 3. I start getting a little bit more weighted towards spending more time on recruiting. By tier 4, I'm spending most of my active business time on recruiting. By tier 5, that's all I'm doing. By tier 6, I'm paying somebody else to do it. By tier 7, I'm peace out. Somebody else is doing pretty much everything.
I want to kind of clarify what you were just saying a little bit. So
Yes.
really, to kind of like just help paint that picture, really in that like tier 3 to tier 4, it's kind of this shift where you're thinking your customer is really shifting from buyers and sellers to that internal customer is really the agents you're recruiting on your team because they're 3, 4, 5x or more, I guess, your agents. So there's really a shift in who your internal customer is in that phase 3 to phase 4 from buyers and sellers to agents.
That's exactly right. See, there's 3 things, and we were going to talk about this later, but we'll just talk about it now. There's 3 things in every business that you have to do at a high level: lead generation, lead follow-up, and lead conversion. That's it. That's the essence of any business. All the other stuff, once the business is in, handling the business, that's the widget. There's people that can do that for 15, 16, 20 bucks an hour. Like that's, you just hire that out. That's easy. But what you've got to do is you've got to lead generate, lead follow-up, and lead convert at a very high level. And what Gabe was just saying, and he's absolutely right, is that as you grow in your business, as you get closer to tiers 3 and 4, now you're going to transition from my lead generation being buyers and sellers to my lead generation being agents that I'm recruiting to my team. Okay. And so very important. And by the way, at some point, usually it's in about tier 4, like mid to upper tier 4, you're going to want to come mostly, if not all, out of production. By tier 5, you're completely out of production, meaning you're not going on listing or buyer appointments anymore. All you're doing is working on the business and not in the business. Now, we'll get to more of that later. Now, let's talk about who do I recruit?
Hey, quick question real quick.
Go ahead.
Where it comes in. Laura asked that 100 transactions, ideally it'd be what her goal is. Is it realistic in a market, their inventory is just under 200 and they have over 600 agents? So I guess that's a realistic goal for that.
So here's the math. I'll give you the simple math. What does saturation look like? What does it look like to really own a market, right? What does it mean to be the market leader or the category king, right? The real estate agent king in that market or queen in that market. So here's the numbers. How many transactions are happening in your marketplace each year? Multiply that by between 10 and 15%. So 10% is very doable in virtually every market across the country, right? Big market, small market, metropolitan area, rural town, 10%, very doable. 15%, it's time to expand to another market. It's time to start growing geographically in addition to growing within your market. So do the math on what's 15% of my market. And that's, I need to have already started building in other markets before I get to that point. And at 10%, I need to probably start marketing to other markets, and recruiting in other markets.
So based on what's happening in that market percentage, you may have to expand your market. So that's probably
Absolutely.
exactly what she's saying into what she's saying. So, all right, sorry, we're going into recruiting.
Yep. So and so that's a perfect example though, because if I'm in Springfield, Missouri, we've got a couple of clients in Springfield, Missouri, and each of them are approaching 10% market share. Is it possible for two agents to have 15% market share in a country, in a city? Absolutely, and they probably both will. And it's a very small market, and they're both clients of ours, by the way, and they both help one another. And here's the other thing you want to think about: stop looking at the other agents in your market as competitors. Figure out who the ballers are, make them your friends. Because I got news for you. These two, when they've got a cross sell, when one of them has a listing that gets 30 offers on it, and one of those offers comes from the other, what do you think's going to happen? Come on. I mean, let's not be naive here. Of course, they're going to help each other out. Of course, they're going to tell the seller, hey, look, it's your choice, but I know this person. They're a good friend of mine. And I know when they put a transaction together, it's going to stick. And I know I can get them to match the highest and best offer, or even, improve on the highest and best offer that we have. I'd recommend we go with their offer. Let me work really hard to get them up in price. Guess what? That's how this works, you guys. Don't be naive. And by the way, you want that person to be your friend. So be careful how you treat the other agents in your market. Right? All right. So do I recruit existing agents or do I recruit new agents? Now, this is a huge debate in the real estate industry. And I will tell you, Gabe and I, if I remember right, Gabe, I think you and I see very eye to eye on this. And right now, everybody in the world wants the agent that's doing 3 to 10 transactions a year. If I could just take that guy and I could just make him, do 20 transactions a year, I'm going to be really successful. They're going to be really successful. It's a win for both of us. Listen, it's not that I'm opposed to hiring existing agents. They're just a lot harder to untrain their bad habits and get them up to speed on what you need to do. Now, what's nice is they understand the real estate process, they understand the contracts and all that stuff. So there's a lot that you don't have to teach them. Whereas with a new agent, you got a lot more educating that needs to happen. However, that new agent is generally going to be easier to train. They're going to generally do what you tell them to do. They're going to have success right away. And it's going to be an easier. So during your 3 to 5 year cycle, which is what your cycle is going to be with most of the agents on your team, they're not going to stay with you forever. Most of them, some will, but 50% of them are going to be gone in 2 weeks. We'll talk about that too. But understand that you got about a 3 to 5 year lifespan with most of the agents that will come in and out of your team. And so knowing that, you want to make sure that you get the best ROI on that and that you deliver the most possible value to them so that when they leave, if they leave, they're out there telling the world how great you are instead of telling the world what a schmuck you are, right? So we love new agents. Now, let's talk about the numbers on recruiting. So you're going to retain for more than a year, approximately 25% of the agents that you hire. Now, understand this, when it comes to recruiting, stop with this whole, and look, I love Keller Williams. I love EXP. We're brand agnostic at Club Wealth, right? We work with people from every brand. We've got over 75 coaches here, and all of them sell more real estate than the people they coach, and they're at all different brands. And so are the people they coach. So understand this. I'm gonna mention something like Gary Keller, right? I think Gary's one of the smartest guys in real estate. Cannot say enough about the guy. Super smart guy. I do not like Recruit Select or career visioning. It is a complete freaking waste of time. All right. By the time you get through that that incredibly long process with somebody, guess what? They've already picked a different team. They're gone. The good ones are gone. They're not going to wait. The good ones are going to make a decision now. And by the way, I've hired thousands of people in my career. And Gabe, I know you have too. I've literally hired thousands of people in my career. And I can tell you, as good as I think I am, I never really know if somebody's going to do it or not until they've been there for 2 weeks. Gabe, what do you think?
I agree 100%. I mean, it's tough hiring experience versus new. I tend to really kind of go more towards on the newer side. Personally, I think that sweet spot's probably been in the business 6 to 12 months. They've learned the basic contracts, MLS, a lot of the stuff that is time consuming to train. Not that I don't want to do it, but they haven't figured out how to convert yet, how to lead generate, how to prospect, and all that. So I agree. I really like it on that newer side. Not saying somebody who's been in the business for a long time just can't do it, because just like you just said, there have been times where I'm like, man, this guy or gal is just going to knock it out of the park, or I'm just not sure. And you know what? Half the time you're right, half the time you're wrong, but you do normally it's those first 2 weeks. And
Yep.
here's the thing is, especially with technology, with Ylopo and all the AI and the remarketing and everything we're doing, lead generation opportunities are easy. So if you get the opportunities, I would always caution on the side of bringing on an extra one or two, because like you're right, you're half are going to fall out, right? And hopefully when you set the expectations the right way, it's just self-attrition. They're stepping out themselves, or that culture is going to bring them out, because you want more, I'll use your term, eagles coming in. And it is really hard, because somebody can interview really, really well and be a turkey, right? Or somebody can just have a terrible interview and come in and just be a total, eagle and just kill it.
Yeah.
So I'm with you. Just be consistent in your culture, and hire. And I don't know if you said this, and you and I talked about this. Make sure you're hiring to your culture, not adapting your culture for someone who you think will or is a current rock star, because I think that's a disaster every time.
Yep, 100%. You're absolutely right about that. So our numbers are, in the first 2 weeks, we lose 50% of them. 50% of the people we hire will not make it past our first 2 weeks.
Is that by design?
What's that?
Is that by design? Is that by design though?
Oh
Really?
yeah, 100%. Absolutely. We don't want them to last more than 2 weeks. Because here's the deal. If in 2 weeks, if I'm not convinced that after the first 2 weeks that you're an eagle, you don't get to stay. I'm not in the business of trying to make turkeys become eagles. I'm in the business of helping eagles fly higher. That's what we do, right? And so that being said, we'll lose 50% in the first 2 weeks and another 50% of who's left in the next 90 days. And what we're left with is 25% of our original number, and they end up being really awesome. They end up being eagles. They work well with us for a long time, and they're a great culture fit. Everybody loves them, right? All right, so let's keep moving forward. Automation, delegation, and elimination. These are the last three of the first 5 key growth hack systems, or system hacks. So automation, I got to automate every single thing I possibly can automate. And that's where Ylopo really came on the scene and really did a great job with their retargeting automation, their AI. They've managed to automate a lot of things in the real estate industry that a lot of people just couldn't figure out. And I mean, you guys are 3 years ahead of everybody. And it'll take, and by the time the people catch up to where you are today, you'll be 3 years down the road from there. And so, I see great things in your future that way. Go ahead, Howard.
That's the playbook. That's the playbook.
Right?
Keep the competition in our rear view mirror at all times. That was the playbook from the beginning. It's the playbook now, and frustrate the heck out of them. And they don't like us because we put so much pressure on them. And when they finally release something that we released 2 years ago, we're releasing new stuff. And I think the coolest thing that we're doing is basically try to take this whole program that we built for real estate and bring it to mortgage as well. So we don't have to kind of oversaturate real estate. We can take all of this marketing technology and bring it to mortgage as well. And then mortgage folks can be getting great deals over to their real estate partners, and real estate partners are getting great deals over to their mortgage partners. And we will probably be really the first MarTech company to really prove that we can get out of just real estate and be both prop tech and fintech. So that's kind of what we're up to.
So by the way, when that happens, you need to let me know right away so that we can get our mortgage coaching clients in with Ylopo. So
I'm excited. Mortgage hasn't seen what's coming yet, but it's coming.
Well, and what's really nice about what you're doing too is, as much as we'd love to say, well, Howard is just going to dominate the world and have every client. You're not going to have every client, but what's going to happen is you're making the industry better. And let me be very clear about this. You guys want to talk about disrupting the disruptors, keeping the agents ahead of the disruptors? Watch what Ylopo is doing. They're keeping you guys ahead of the disruptors. And by doing that, they're forcing all these other technology companies to do the same, which is very beneficial for the real estate agents and mortgage brokers as a whole, because it's keeping you employed, because it's giving you more and better technology than the big boys even have. So it's a big deal, you guys. So anyway, that being said, let's keep moving on. So automation is very important. You want to automate every single process in your business you possibly can. Then you want to delegate anything you can't automate, and you want to eliminate every unnecessary step. So write those 3 things down. It's automate, delegate, and eliminate. It's very important that you do this at a high level. Now, let's keep moving forward. We got so much more to cover, and we're running out of time. And I may not get to everything, so I'm going to try and get as much as I can in here for you.
And I want to Susie came in again. I love it. Susie's asking questions. Thanks, Susie. Just real before we move away from new agents, we both agree with it. What's your tip on finding new agents? Where would you look?
Everywhere. You just never know. And, it's just like lead generation for your real estate business. If you want to be making 6 figures a year consistently, no matter what the market does, Stop relying on your referrals. I'll start with that. Although we'll teach you how to get more business out of your referrals. We want to make sure that it's a smaller percentage of your overall business, but a greater number of transactions every year, right? So you're going to need about 10 to 15 lead sources on the sales side to be hitting your solid 6-figure net income no matter what. 25 lead sources to 35 lead sources if you want to be at 7 figures. On the recruiting side, I'm going to need, honestly, it depends on how big you plan on growing. If you want to be doing 7 to 8 figures someday, and 8 figures may sound a little scary for some of you, but believe me, there's agents out there now making 8 figures. You want to start getting into that level, you're going to need to have about 10 different recruiting sources as well. And the recruiting sources are going to be far more important than the lead gen sources. The lead gen sources are pretty easy. In fact, let me give you that number right now. I'm going to give you guys 17 of my best lead gen sources right now. In fact, if you do this right now, if you text this number right now, I'll actually give you 31 of them. If you wait till after we're done or you're watching this recorded, you'll get 17 of them anyway. So you're going to grab your cell phone right now, send a text message to 727-287-5993. I want you to text the words Club Wealth to that number, 727-287-5993. Just send the words Club Wealth to that text, just text them to that phone number right now, and we'll get you 31 of our lead sources. All right, I got to keep moving on.
Number one last time, the number.
727-287-5993. And you're going to just text the words, 2 words, Club Wealth with a W, Club Wealth. Send that to that number. Now, here's the deal. When it comes to recruiting, though, you're going to have to recruit actively, very actively. So if I want to end up with a 25-person team, which, by the way, for most people is kind of the sweet spot, right? 25-person team is a very sustainable team where you can kind of be out of production, have a really great life, work maybe 12 days a month, and make a really solid 7-figure net income and really not have to be too worried. And so to get there, you got to recruit 100 people because you're only going to keep 25%. Right? So you're going to have to recruit 100 people. Now, in the beginning, you're going to retain less than 25% because you're not going to know what you're doing, and you're going to hire the wrong people, and you're going to keep the wrong people too long, and you're going to make some mistakes, and you're going to implode your team once or twice before you start kind of getting it figured out. And it sucks, and there's bumps and there's bruises, and we can help you avoid a lot of that, but you're going to screw some stuff up. Be okay with that.
I have to pause you. You said something in there that I think is so hard, especially for these agents and teams at Ylopo. We have a ton of agents and teams that are growing and scaling, but when you keep agents too long on the team, when you know they're a bad fit, you've done this, I've done this a lot. It's so hard. You go through this recruiting, you bring somebody on to cut somebody. I just spend a minute on that, though, the benefits, how to identify that and why you need to cut it. Because I think it's so critical for people to hear that.
You know that you are capable of being a great team leader when you fire your top producer who represented 40% of your transactions last year. That's when you know you're a leader. That's when you know you're capable of running a business. Okay. If you're afraid to let that person go because of the transactional volume they bring to the table, even though they're a cancer on your team and now it's the tail wagging the dog and they're running the show more than you're running the show and they're dictating to you what you're going to do more than you're deciding what the team's going to do and setting the vision, mission, and values for the team, guess what? Now you've got a problem. You've got to cut that person loose. End of story. I don't care what their production is. I don't care how popular they are. I don't care who they take with them. You got to get rid of them. End of story. And if you can't do that, you don't belong as a team leader. You're not cut out for being a team leader. It's a different skill set than listing and selling houses.
It's hard, not low. You're going to continue on, but those of you that are running a team and you've had to do that, we all have. It's hard, but it's the right thing. And I'd love for people to chime in, if they've had to do that and if they ended up benefiting from it. Because almost every time I've had that discussion with somebody, it's man, it was so hard, but we did it. But the team grew because of it.
Every single time. I will tell you this without question, every single time the team is better off because of it. And what's interesting is the transactional volume gets made up by the other people on the team, and you now can attract people on the team that you wanted. You'll see that there'll be agents waiting in the wings that thought about joining your team that wouldn't join because that person was there. But as soon as they left, those people that you really wanted now are feeling better about coming onto your team. It's a big deal. All right. So let's talk about ISAs really quick. So now there's a couple options. First of all, ISA, inside sales agent. If you're going to really scale a team large, right? If you're going to go beyond 400 or 500 transactions a year, you're going to have ISAs. End of story, right? Now, if I'm going to have ISAs, I've got 2 options. I can outsource it or I can do it in-house. Just like when you hired your first assistant, right? You didn't go out and hire a full-time assistant right off the bat. You probably first went out and hired a transaction coordinator that you paid a fee per transaction to help you out with, when you were doing 1 transaction a month or 2 transactions a month. By the time you got to 3, 4 transactions a month, it was time to bring that in-house. And it was, there's cost savings. And not only would they be able to do your transactions, but now they can also do other assistant stuff for you, administrative tasks for you. And it becomes a very efficient position. Same thing with ISAs. In the beginning, you'll probably outsource that. So I would recommend, just if you're looking for where do we outsource it, I'd be very careful about who you hire for this. Go to clubwealth.com/ISA. And we'll get you there, our contact for who we use for ISA services. You can get it there. Again, it's clubwealth.com/ISA. Now, here's what I'll tell you about in-house. You have to set your goal for, I'm going to bring this service in-house eventually. It's not something you want to outsource forever. I don't want my business at the mercy of somebody else's business. I don't want to have a problem if somebody else's business goes out of business, or if they have some people quit, or if they have I want control over my business, because if I'm not in control, I'm out of control, and nobody wants to be out of control. So what does that mean? What does that look like? When I hire ISAs, I have to understand it's the highest turnover position in the company every time. So I don't hire one. Never have one pig at the trough. If for all my farmer friends out there, you guys all know what I'm talking about. If I've got one pig at the trough, they'll eat the food, they'll get fat, and eventually I get bacon, right? Sorry if you're a vegetarian or vegan, I don't mean to offend you. But if I have 2 pigs at the trough, they will compete for the food. They'll both eat more. They'll each get fatter faster. I get bacon sooner. That's a good thing, right? Who doesn't like bacon? Well, maybe Gabe, I don't know. But you love bacon. There you go. All right. Everybody loves bacon, right? So point being, I'm not going to hire one ISA. I hire them in groups of 4 whenever possible. Again, remember that 25% rule. When I hire ISAs, that again, they're going to turn over like crazy. But if I'm hiring them in groups of 4, it's just as easy to train 4 people at one time as it is to train 1. In fact, it's easier because the 4 will come up with better questions. They'll feed off of each other. So I'm always going to hire in groups of 4. I'm going to set very clear expectations. I'm going to inspect what I inspect. Now, write this down. I'm going to have you write a couple of things down. Very important. 1, inspect what you expect. Write that down. I got a little bit longer quote that I need you to write this down. This is so important. Where progress is measured, progress improves. Where progress is measured and reported, the rate of improvement increases. I'm going to give that to you again. Where progress is measured, progress improves. Where progress is measured and reported, the rate of improvement increases. Guys, this is really important. So, and David, yes, that is the correct link. Just go to clubwealth.com/ISA. So check this out, and it will redirect you to Isaiah. So here's what I want you to think about, you guys. I need to not only have my team track their progress every single day, but they've got to report it every day on the huddle, and they've got to report it in what we call our stat tracker. Some of you are using CTE or CSU, great products, by the way, fantastic. We have a product that our coaching clients get as part of their coaching. It's very similar to a CSU. We just don't charge them for it. We give it to them. And it's really cool because it tracks all this stuff, and it gives you, a leaderboard you can put on your big screen TV, and everybody can see who's doing better. And we use it for the agents and for the ISAs, and it's pretty cool. And what it does is it not only helps them perform better, but it helps them improve faster. So you guys got to be both tracking and reporting. All right, now there's got to go ahead.
So sorry, there's like little nuggets, and I'm surprised somebody hasn't asked this. I'm scrolling through to look. But you mentioned another thing on the huddle where you guys is this where you're going over the numbers in the tracker on the huddles? Like, can you give me just a couple other things that people are always asking? I have these daily huddles. What am I talking about every day? Yeah. Like, can you give me a couple bullet points? Because I think it's really important, because you've talked about how important huddles are. What are some ideas of what they need to talk about each day? Depends on the size of your team to start with. So no matter what size my team is, I'm always going to talk about yesterday's numbers. And the one metric, there is one metric that matters more than any other metric. Type into your screen, in your chat, you guys, what metric, what is it that I'm tracking that matters the most? Type into your chat. I want to see what you guys think is the most important metric that we have to track every single day. See if anybody can come up with this. I got nobody. So far, nobody knows. Okay. That's an interesting, that's a good one to track. And yeah, and our system will do that. So the Clubhouse Strat Tracker will track conversion ratio and all that stuff. And that is very important. People that we spoke to. Okay. Who is that? Marjorie. Marjorie freaking nailed it.
The number one statistic that I've got to track every day and that I've got to hold accountable to every day is number of appointments set. Nothing else matters. I don't care how many people I talk to. I don't care how much time I spend on the phone. If I don't set a freaking appointment, I didn't succeed today, right? For me to win, I got to hit my number of appointments, because here's the reality. If I don't have appointments to go on, I'm not getting listings. I'm not getting buyers. So my conversion rate is directly impacted by appointments set. No matter what, nothing is more important than number of appointments set. Now, what is the minimum threshold? What is the expectation on our team? So for us, we have a high bar. For us, it's 3 appointments a day. If you don't set 3 appointments a day, you're not on our team. Nice knowing you. Now, I'm not going to suggest you do that. You will not have a team for very long if you set your bar that high, okay? Your people are not ready for that yet. So 1 appointment a day is a great place to start. I would never allow less than 1 appointment a day. If you can't set 1 appointment a day, you're not working hard enough. You can call enough people to get an appointment a day, particularly if I'm feeding you with leads. Now, if I really want to take my team to the next level, if I'm in tier 3 or tier 4, I'm probably requiring 2 appointments a day. That's probably where we're going to head. So it really just depends on your team and what market you're in and how hard you want your team to work and how solid they are. And are they eagles or are they turkeys or are they something in between? Maybe they're a seagull. I don't know. We'll see. So you get the point. All right. Now, with expectations, you've got to have consequences, both positive and negative, right? So there's always got to be a carrot and a stick. Very important. So in my ICA, or my independent contractor agreement, when I hire these people, when I bring them onto my team, I want to be very clear with, here's the expectation. Here's what you get when you do it. Here's what happens if you don't. And I literally spell that out like a little spreadsheet inside my ICA for all of the things that are expected on the team. And guess what happens? People are now happy because they know what's expected of them. There's no ambiguity. They know that they can not only meet, but exceed the standard. And when they do, they know what to expect. And by the way, if they fail to meet the standard, they know what's going to happen. And it's not you punishing them. It's them not meeting the standard. So now it's an administrative team function where they say, hey, you know, it's no big deal. I know you didn't hit the numbers yesterday. No problem. We'll just turn your leads off because we know you're probably a little too busy to take the leads right now. So we'll give you a chance to catch up. And when we see that over this period of time, you've gotten those numbers up, then guess what? We'll be able to turn your leads back on. No problem. And it's no longer emotional and you're not the bad guy.
Yep. So those expectations.
Yes.
Yep.
So very important stuff. All right. So the last thing on ISAs is ABR, right? It used to be ABC, right? Always be closing. Always ABBC closing, right? No. Okay. I'm really terrible at the Alec Baldwin impersonation, but now it's ABR. What does ABR stand for? Always BBR recruiting. Always be recruiting, no matter what. Every Wednesday, we get 36 to 5. Well, we've had as many as over 100 people. 109, I think, was our record on a group interview that we do every Wednesday. So between 35 and 109 people. And generally, we're getting about 50 to 75 people per week on a group interview on Zoom every Wednesday. You guys, you got to recruit like crazy. All right, Howard, do I have time to talk very briefly about?
We've got about 2 minutes before we do like kind of final thoughts.
No, you're not getting the hook from me. You can talk as long as you want. I would just say, if you don't want to change ABC, I always say always be cultivating.
There you go.
Cultivating buyers, cultivating sellers, and cultivating new relationships with agents, cultivating your existing agents.
Mm-hmm.
So always be closing, to me, is always be cultivating, because if you do that, it all ends up in big team, great closes, all that.
100%. Yes. Gabe, were you going to add something?
No, I was just going to say, we've got a couple more minutes here, but just want to make sure we just give a moment for Howard. Everybody can like final thoughts though too before we lose everybody.
Okay, so let me just share this with you guys really quick. Here's the problem. Everybody thinks that growth is scale. It's different. Growth and scaling are 2 vastly different things. Just because you're growing does not mean you're scaling. Here's the easy way to figure this out. If you take yourself out of the equation, are you still growing? If you cannot take yourself out of the equation, in other words, if your team is not recruiting, hiring, training, onboarding, and growing all the time without your input, without you involved, you are not scaling yet, period. The only way you can scale is when you pull yourself completely out of the equation, which means you've got other people recruiting for you. That is how you scale. Until you're at that point, you're not scaling yet. So don't take offense to that. Just understand that if I really want to scale a team, I got to do that. I got to get to that level. And that generally happens around tier 5 or 6. And by the time, if you're in tier 6 and if you don't have full-time recruiters on your team yet, it's time. Okay. If you're doing 500 or more transactions a year, it's time to hire recruiters, period. And I know we've got more to cover, but we can do this again. But for now, I want to make sure that, to your point, let's make sure you and Howard get your stuff in here. And I want to thank you guys for having me on. Seriously, great group today. And I'm happy to answer any questions you guys have.
I love it. I mean, I, as always, have my own notes. Can you give a refresher on the tiers? Mike wanted to know, I think the tier 1, 2, 3, just the numbers and the units.
So tier 1 is 0 to 25 units, 25 to 75 is tier 2, 75 to 150 is tier 3, 150 to 250 is tier 4, 250 to 500 is tier 5, tier 6 is 500 to 1,000, tier 7 is 1,000 units per year and more. So, and by the way, if I'm a brokerage, those same numbers apply to the number of agents in my brokerage. So if I get 0 to 25 agents in my brokerage, I'm a tier 1 broker. And on the lending side, it's the same as the teams as well. So
I love it. And a recap for everybody, the recording is going to be sent out to everybody who registered. You can also find it. I think they posted a link in the chat there where you can go to ylopo.com/media, where we'll have it posted for everybody to watch the replay. So you can get all that information. Howard, as we're at the top of the hour, thoughts, anything that you want to kind of bring home or refresh, or any takeaways?
I think we really accomplished our goal today. The content that Michael delivered was really important and rich from both a high level as well as getting into the nitty gritty. So that's what I love, right? Not just kind of cliches. And then we're like, what do we really do? But I think you really drilled down from the high level concepts. And, we have a great relationship with Club Wealth. We recommend Club Wealth because we know that our clients will do better on our system if they're also getting coached and trained by people who are at that next level that they want to go to. So I really think that the Club Wealth structure is very, very smart. And on the other hand, Michael, recommends us to his clients because, he literally has a fiduciary responsibility or financial responsibility to his clients to recommend stuff that works. And, I think it's just a great kind of symbiotic relationship that we've had for a very, very long time, with Club Wealth. And, I'm sure Michael remembers, a long time ago when I got on stage for like 60 seconds in Vegas at the first time I showed up there, and no one knew who we were. And, we'd go to Inman and we couldn't even get a meeting, now we got like lines down the hall and stuff. So Michael's seen us grow, and they've been an important part, of our growth. So I just wanted to thank Michael, for that, and would encourage everyone, if you've never been part of the Club Wealth system, to take a really, really strong look at it. It's incredibly valuable.
Very nice of you to say that, Howard. I appreciate that a lot, especially coming from you. I mean, you've been in this industry as long or longer than I have, and just means a ton coming from you. I really, really appreciate that. And you guys, I'll tell you this, and don't be offended when I say this. Yeah, we have our clients, the vast majority of our clients are using Ylopo. If you're using Ylopo and it's not working for you, I got news for you. It's not Ylopo, it's you. Okay, so just understand that you may need some help understanding how to use it properly, and that's fine. We can help you with that. The Ylopo will help you with that. Our coaches can help you with that. But it's kind of like, if you've seen Glenn Ross, right? It's the leads don't suck, you suck, right? So we need to work on your skill set.
You can take one of two paths. Like you can quit, or you can, my favorite expression is dig in. And dig in means digging in a lot of areas, right? And it's hard work. But we have people now who are literally like Ylopo professors who teach others and coach others who had failed, who thought about quitting, right? And they said, you know what, that's not in my DNA. I'm going to dig in. I'm going to get advice. I'm going to be a squeaky wheel. I'm going to call Gabe. I'm going to join Club Wealth, all these things. And now they're, the difference between failure and success on a system like ours is a matter of inches. It's not miles. It's a matter of inches. It's that extra call night. Talk about what Michael started off with. It's that extra call night, or the call night you're not even doing, right? It's that, that extra effort to hire your own ISA who turns everything around for your whole team. It's that extra effort to watch more videos, right? It's that, that's go to Ylopo.com, go to the media center. It's like crazy, the stuff that you can see there to dig in on. So you want to dig in, or you want to quit? What's in your DNA? Gabe?
You know what's
I
really
love-
interesting? Oh, go ahead. Sorry, Gabe.
Well, I was gonna say, what I love about that was really what the takeaway that I kind of wanted to circle back to, which was in the first few minutes when Mike, when you started talking is, and we've all heard it, but it's, beginning with the end in mind. And, when I jump on with a client or when I'm sitting there thinking like, okay, where am I struggling, whether it's with coaching or with leads or process, and it's not understanding where was I going, or I lost sight of where I was going and I started wandering, right? So, when I talk to clients, when I sit down, I find myself that it's like, okay, I kind of lost my way, right? I wandered off the path, and it's not always the exact way, but you still need to remember where you're going and why did I sign up for coaching, or why did I sign up for Ylopo? What were the pains in my business that I was trying to fix? And normally it's what am I not doing now to implement those tools to get to that destination or ease those pains along the way to maybe have a little bit better, work-life balance. For everybody on this call, those numbers that you're throwing in, you may already be sitting at that perfect number that you want, but you don't want to be putting in as many hours, right? So that's listening to your coach on how to delegate, how to automate, letting Ylopo work on a lot of the nurturing and just responding to activity versus cold calling, right? So just remembering, what were those pains and why was it that I reached out to that coach, or why was it that I reached out to Ylopo? And then just basically recentering and refocusing on where you're going and why you did it, and then fix the missteps.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Michael, you got the last word.
Well, I'll tell you, the last word I would say is, guys, it's all about implementation. End of the day, knowledge without implementation is like rowing with one oar in the water. You could have all the great tools out there, all the great coaching out there, all the great technology, all this stuff, but if you don't implement, you're going nowhere. You're just going to go in circles. So you've got to figure out, how do I implement with what I have before I go buy this next new shiny object or do this next new thing or whatever. Start by implementing what you have at the highest level possible. The people that are most successful in this business, and we could talk about tons of clients we have in common, even some of your professors like Barry and some of these guys, it's the commonality that all of the biggest producers across the country have is that they understand that success is boring, and they do the little things that cause success. They're what we call quiet implementers. They don't brag about what they're going to do. They don't tell everybody, oh, I'm going to do this and that and this. What they do is they just go do it. They just figure it out. And they don't get excited every time they have a transaction. They don't get all, oh my gosh, I just closed a house. Yay. How exciting is that? No. What do? Like, okay, so here's what went well in that transaction. Here's what I need to fix. Here's what I need to dial in my system so I can do this more often and more easily. And then they refine, and they implement. That's it. That's what I would say. So get implementing, be a quiet implementer, quit talking about what you're going to do, and go freaking do it.
The last thing I'll say is, which again purports to why you really should work with a group like Club Wealth is, we could have great ideas, and I think a lot of the folks on the call have great ideas and can implement, right, to certain degrees, but you need accountability, and you need someone who you're getting on the call with, and they said, okay, well, 2 weeks ago, you said you were going to do this. I'm here to see to what extent, what percentage did you do this? Mm-hmm. Now, as the student, I didn't get the idea from them. I said I had this great idea, and I said I'm going to go do it. And I'm like, oh shit, I've got 2 weeks to get this done because my coach is going to make sure that they check in on me. So a lot of us, myself, we all need accountability, and because things slip, right? Life happens. But if you know that someone who's at that next level that you aspire to is doing even nothing else, right, other than holding you accountable to what you need to do to get to that next level, and that's worth beyond the price of admission. I mean, that's gold bullion right there.
And Howard, to your point, one of the things that so we're not a babysitting company, right? So we don't call you up every week and say, so how many calls did you make? How many contacts? How many appointments did you set?
I wish you did.
I know. Well, but the reality is, what we're looking at, we're going to come in there and we're going to say, look, we've got the numbers trackers that do all that, by the way, Howard. So that's all automated. But we don't, but the calls that we don't do half hour calls. We do a full hour call. Why? Because we got to dig deep. We got to say, look, you can't get enough accomplished in a half hour call. We got to be able to look at your business and say, here's the holes in your business right now. And I know they're holes because I was there a year ago or 2 years ago or whatever. So because I'm now at that level beyond where you're at, I know where the holes are and I know how to fix them. So here's exactly how you fix them. Here's the systems on how to fix them. Now, we can't really cookie cutter it. We're gonna have to tweak this system a little bit to fit your personality and your market and your way, you know, the way you do things and all that, and your tech stack and all this other stuff. But then it's, what's the next step now? So once we've solved the holes, now what's the next step? How do I get to that next level? And specifically, what checklists do I need to follow? What systems do I need to implement? What do I need to do to make that happen? That's something you can't make it cookie cutter. That's why your coach has to be somebody who's succeeded at a higher level than you, because they have to understand where you've been because they were there. It's our phrase that we use all the time. And so one of our core values is that if you want to climb to the top of Mount Everest, you need a guide who's been to the top of Mount Everest before. You don't need some guy standing at the bottom of the hill saying, yeah, just, you know, go up there on this little ridge and just watch. There's some crevasses up there. Just watch out for those. There's a ladder up there somewhere. I'm sure you'll find it. Good luck. Right? Like, that doesn't work. You got to have them lockstep with you, showing you, hey, whoa, don't step there, crevasse, right? Hey, reach out here. There's a handhold right there. Grab onto that, and then with your right hand, grab over here. So it's very, very, very different approach.
I love it, guys. We're good. I think that's a wrap, guys. Thank you so much, Michael. It was a great time. I love it. Hopefully I'll be seeing you soon, possibly in Phoenix. We got to chat later. Again, everybody, we're going to be sending out this recording out to everybody. You can also get it at ylopo.com media. Howard, thank you so much. Adding wisdom as always. And everybody, until next time, stay safe and thanks for joining us. I appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
See you guys. Bye.